What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. As expected, we got a massive news drop for Dungeon Defenders Awakened yesterday, and we're going to go through it all right here. Now, if you don't want to watch through the video and you'd rather watch the dev stream or you'd rather read the forum post, of course, links to all of those goodies are down in the description below. And then additionally, this could be a lengthy video as this is a huge post. So there will be chapters and timestamps down below as well, so you can feel free to hop on through to the various parts that you might be interested in. Now, first off, we know that episode 2 is coming. It's going to be divided into 2 parts, and we're expected the first part sometime in the very near future. We got more info on that today, but let's go ahead and get started. First off, before we even get to that, there is a Halloween event starting on the 14th. This is going to run from October 14th until November 4th, so plenty of time to make it happen. And this particular event is going to feature both login rewards and in-game rewards. The login event is the Hallows Evil Grin Mask, which is the pumpkin head that was available last year. And then additionally, this fish in a jar mask. This thing looks super cool. So actually, that looks more like a brain right there. But the fish in a jar mask definitely looks awesome. That is an item you're going to want to get. All you got to do is log in between October 14th and November 4th. Now, additionally, there is a special event map coming in. It's going to be under challenges. And this is a revisiting of the Halloween Spooktacular from Dungeon Defenders 1. So if you remember that Halloween Spooktacular challenge, that is now going to be in-game in Dungeon Defenders Awakened. It's being added as part of this Halloween event. However, it is a permanent addition, so it is staying. As you see here, this map will feature the new Halloween variants of the enemies permanently. Even after the Halloween event is over, it also has new lanes and an additional core to defend. Now, completing the map will give you a Brain in a Jar mask accessory as a guaranteed drop for those out there. So we get the fish in the jar as the daily login, I see. And then the Brain in a Jar is going to be available as a drop from this map. So jumping back to where we were, that's a guaranteed drop. But for those out there that prefer a bit of gold or neon to their look, there will be a very low drop chance version that allows you to unlock the golden transmog variant. Now, these particular cosmetics, the Brain in a Jar looks pretty awesome. You can get a golden Brain in a Jar. It's going to be a rare drop chance, so it's going to be farmable cosmetics that we can farm in the map themselves. Now, remember, upcoming is going to be trading coming in the first part of episode 2, which we'll get to in a minute. But remember, this is a lootable item, which also means it is going to be a tradable item. So this is an item that you're going to be able to trade. So if you get multiples of it, they could potentially be worth something down the road. Now, with the login event, as I mentioned, you get that the fish in a jar and the Hallows Eve Grin Mask if you don't have it already. Now, all of the enemies throughout the entire game are going to be getting this Halloween transmog. So, you know, your Goblin Copters, your Djinn, your Dark Elf Warriors, the Sharkin, Spiders, everything is getting the Halloween makeover throughout the game. Oh, there's a siren right there. What else do we have here? See, there's an ogre. Big old thick ogre. Look at the kobold. That looks very cool. Mages and so on and so on. There's a lichen. So we're getting the Halloween cosmetic makeover to all the enemies throughout the game. So this will be a fun little addition on Halloween, but the main thing for the Halloween event is the addition of the Halloween Spooktacular map and then that farmable golden accessory. Now, jumping right on into the episode 2 part 1 update that's going to be upcoming. First off, we know the summoner is returning. The summoner is going to be known as the Outcast Summoner in Dungeon Defenders Awakened. Now, here is the model of that particular hero. So this is not the same outcast model that we saw before. People had expressed that it didn't feel very much like a summoner to them. So the model has been changed and it's going with a more summoner look to it. So it looks very similar to the summoner in Dungeon Defenders 1. Now let's just jump right on over to the abilities. Minion select. Of course, you're going to be able to select your minions to move them around, etc. Overlord mode. This was questioned whether or not it would be able to make it into the game. Overlord mode is coming. As far as an active ability, we've got the Flash Heal that we know and love, but here we go, y'all. Pet Boost. So this is a true summoner, meaning this particular summoner has no attack. So with no attack, you get 2 pets. So it is going to get a pet boost, which is going to allow us to have 2 pets just screaming it out. And I absolutely cannot wait to see 2 boosted Monkey Kings or 2 boosted Little Bombers all go into town. It's going to be just glorious. Now, the minions, remember, there are not going to be separate minion units. It's all going to be in the DU, so these all have a DU cost to them. There's going to be some similar ones from Dungeon Defenders 1, but we've also got one glaring new one right here. First off, though, we've got the Archer. Now, Phil did mention he wanted to keep the DU low on all of these defenses to encourage us to use them more, since it doesn't have a separate MU pool. So with no minion units and just defense units, he wanted to keep these defenses cheap. Now, first off, we got the Archer for 2 DU. Suddenly summons a crystalline dark elf archer, shoots non-piercing arrows at enemies. Then we've got the lovely Spider. Summons a spider to the battlefield, flings webs at nearby enemies, slowing them down and doubling all damage they receive. And here we go, the Siren. Summons a crystalline siren, casts protective shields around defenses, reducing incoming damage, and also attacks offensively with her ranged attack. So we're going to get a little bit of a protection versus our defenses, as she's going to be shielding them. Very excited to see how that's going to work. Now we got the Dark Elf Mage. Of course, if you're going to have a mage, you want to have a healer for your minions. This mage is going to throw fireballs and periodically heals themselves and other nearby minions, as well as heroes. So the Dark Elf Mage will heal heroes. And then the Ogre summons a crystalline ogre, crushes enemies within melee range, and occasionally fires poison snot balls from a distance. Now, a few things were confirmed about these minions. First off, they're still being developed, so everything is still a work in progress. For the PTR that will be upcoming for testing, and maybe even right when they launch, we don't know yet, these minions, for having fusion sets of gear on them, are going to get just kind of standard issue benefits. So it's unsure now if changing a Siren, say, into a Rifted Siren is going to have any benefits past the fusion damage, doing double damage, etc., like the fusion armor that's available on an Ogre. So we're going to get just kind of the standard fusion benefits from having a set of gear from a Rifted mode. Now we know runes are coming to the game. What the hell are runes? Well, kind of think, not necessarily shards from DD2, but if you think back in the day, kind of skill spears for DD2, they're very similar. There's going to be hero runes and tower runes that do various things. There's also going to be general runes that can be applied to any hero, and there's going to be class-specific things. Now, unlocking a rune is going to be a 2-step process. First off, these are going to be drops. The runes are drops. You're not just going to have them unlocked. You're going to have to find them. They're going to drop from various places, and it's going to be targeted drops. We should know relatively quickly after the update hits exactly what drops where to give us an idea of where to farm them. Now, these particular runes are going to come in different quality levels. So not only does, let's just go down to the first rune example, Explosive Shield. Not only is Explosive Shield going to drop, it's going to drop at tier 1, at tier 3, at tier 5. Each rune is going to have a various amount of upgrades to it that's going to unlock more power and additional benefits. So you want to get your runes. Of course, the entry-level runes that are level 1, of course, are going to be in the earlier game content, with the higher-leveled runes being in the later game content over in Massacre. These runes, after you drop them, you're going to have to spend gold to unlock them. Once you unlock them, they become permanently part of your rune library, so to speak, where you can use that rune on any hero. So you have to find it first as a drop, then pay the gold to have it unlocked, and then it will be a permanent addition. They're equipable. Now, another thing to remember is runes are going to be tradable as well. So if you get any duplicate runes, you will be able to trade those to other players, and I'm thinking it's probably going to be relatively easy to get a pretty full loadout of runes. Now, we did get just a few examples. Now, Phil confirmed that, first off, every rune, every defense has at least one rune for it. So every defense of the game is going to have some sort of rune. We only got a very few examples, as he doesn't want to spoil it all, but we see Explosive Shield. Shield throw explodes on hit, exactly what you'd think. Then you've got Spear Trap, converts the Squire's Blockade over to where it shoots out piercing projectiles or spears when it is attacked. So, pretty cool, right? Okay, on the Apprentice here, another example, Arcane Blast. Arcane Surge becomes a range piercing projectile, which deals a percentage of secondary attack damage. And then Bouncing Magic. Magic missile projectiles deal X damage and bounce to so many additional targets. So we're going to see some bouncing magic missiles, y'all. This one is in Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue and will be quite interesting to check out. Now, there's several other runes listed. This is just a taste of what runes are there. A couple of standouts. First off, Shell Shock. This is applying to proximity traps or explosive traps. Enemies hit are slowed and deal reduced damage for a certain amount of time. That sounds really, really good. So I am super excited to see this. Electric Auras on the Monk are going to get an extra Lightning Blast, where every so many seconds, your Electric Aura is going to zap a random enemy, a single enemy, for a percentage of damage. The EV gets the decoy where it shoots. This is from Going Rogue. So you're going to pop your decoy down, and you can fire down a lane, and the decoy is going to fire alongside of you where you are aiming. Just a few more examples to what is available here. Once again, there will be a link to all these goodies down in the description below. Okay, next up, trading. We know trading is coming. This is still a work in progress UI, but this is a general idea of what it's going to look like. Players will be able to request to open a trade with you, then add items and offer gold. Not all items, of course, are tradable. Additionally, there's a new setting, or there will be a new setting to auto-reject trade requests. Means if people are just like spamming you trade requests, you can just set it to auto-reject it, and it's just going to turn them all off, and you're never going to see them. They're not going to bother you. Now, trading, of course, is still going to be kind of a work in progress and something that we'll see changes, no doubt. However, trading is coming in and part of the game. Now, we've known about these two maps for a long time. First off is the Bazaar. I actually have a bunch of thumbnails of that image. We've known about this one for quite some time. The Bazaar is a remake of the Forest Crossroads map. So, Forest Crossroads from DD2 is getting a desert remake and a desert theme to it. Actually looks quite nice. I'm anxious to get in and check it out. And then second off, we got the Lost Metropolis. This is from Dungeon Defenders 1. It's the Palantir map, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was originally a community-created map and then became a permanent part of the game, and now is making it into Dungeon Defenders Awakened as well. So pretty awesome stuff there. That is Palantir. Now, of course, in the first part of Episode 2, we're only getting 2 new maps. Episode 2 in total will have 4 new maps. So in Part 1, we're getting 2 maps. In Part 2, we'll get 2 more maps. And then Part 2, of course, will include the boss fight and the higher difficulty tier after we beat that boss. Now, it's also been changed or teased that where there was 5 defenses being completely changed. Oh, and we got that information too. First off, we got the Sniper Tower. You see, this looks amazingly similar to a cannonball. However, This is a longer range sniper tower. This is the direct cannon from Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue. And it is replacing the bouncer blockade. It's not replacing the cannon. So we're going to have two different types of cannons on the Squire. We've got the bowling ball, which is lacking in pizzazz right now. And then we're going to have the sniper tower. Now, Phil mentioned on stream, you know, hey, why have two cannons? And he said he just feels like the bowling ball is such an iconic part of Dungeon Defenders 1 that he wants to make changes to the bowling ball tower to kind of get it right. Here's an example of one of the runes for that. It's got a defense rune, piercing upgrade. Pierces an additional enemy and scales damage of the attack. So one of the example runes to go with that one. Now on the Huntress, the Poison Dart Tower is replacing the Darkness Trap. The Darkness Trap definitely had a use in Dungeon Defenders Awakened and was used by a very small amount of people. However, I guess the metrics show this was actually the least used defense in the game. Now, I think this one was kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone saw this one coming, since people loved the Poison Dart Tower in DD2, and people really liked the Poison Dart Tower in Going Rogue. We are getting the Poison Dart Tower. Now, this one is going to shoot out 3 projectiles in a fan shape, so it can hit 3 separate enemies. Here is an example of a defense rune for it. Enemies hit by the Poison Dart Tower have a percentage chance to become blinded. And that is kind of a rune that is the answer for the people that wanted to use the blind from the Darkness Trap. You can get that blind from your Poison Dart Tower with a rune. Now, blocking fields have been combined, so the blocking field and the reflect beam are now one. With this in mind, the DU cost got scaled down to your reflect beam cost, but, you know, a lot of people's first concern was, okay, if this is a wall now and a reflect beam, that's pretty great and all, but what if enemies come slapping on it? We're used to having reflect beams around the core. Now, it's listed, one of the example defense runes that are listed here, blocking field deals a percentage of tower health back to all attackers. Phil did tell me afterwards, because so many people were saying, you know, WTF on this one, he said there is a rune that removes its blocking field property, so it basically makes it just a reflect beam. So if you want to use your combined blocking and reflect field as you would use a reflect beam currently in the game, you can do that with just adding on a rune. Now, this, of course, frees up a slot since we're combining 2 defenses into one. In that slot is coming the Heat Cannon. The Heat Cannon provides a unique defense to the game. It's a short-ranged flamethrower. This is directly in from Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue. It actually looks extremely snazzy here, and excited to see what it does. It looks like a high-tech flamethrower, so, I mean, it looks fitting as far as the theme of the hero goes. Of course, it's got that short range, so we're going to have to check out what kind of aggro priorities and stuff like that it has. If it's got a super short range and it gets high aggro, it may end up being tough to use. However, it looks cool. It'll be well worth a shot. I mean, who doesn't want a flamethrower, right? Here is one of the example runes for it, Immolation. The Heat Cannon applies a fire dot onto enemies, dealing a percentage of tower damage over so many seconds. Now we've got yet another change. I think it was kind of a no-brainer that the shock beam was going to end up going away, as it lost a bit of its pizzazz as everyone got into Rifted mode and got their fusion gear. Well, the shock beam is out, and in comes the Plasma Defense System. The Plasma Defense System is going to be a long-range tower that shoots out a little zappy beam to 3 different separate targets at once, or pardon me, it's more like a laser beam. Not like a constant zap, but more like a pew-pew. Will hit 3 targets at once, and this defense does have a little dead zone. Anyway, anyone that's followed the Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue towers, it actually kind of has an R2-D2 vibe to it, I'm not going to lie. That just popped into head, I never really thought that before. But it's kind of got a little R2-D2 vibe to it. Anyway, you throw this down, it's going to pew out to 3 targets at once. Now, the special thing about this one is this particular defense prioritizes flyers. So it is a special enemy targeting, however, it does prioritize flyers. Now, for those of you that play Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue, In going rogue, this bad boy shoots through walls like a DST would. In DDA, it is not going to. Phil cleared that up after stream. It is going to require line of sight, so no pew-pewing through walls. Now, it sounds like it's going to be extremely powerful defense, but quite situational, especially without being able to shoot through walls. Hopefully, at a minimum, it has the clipping type of thing like the harpoon towers do now. I think that would make life a lot better with this one. But we're going to get a anti-air defense that's going to prioritize those flyers before moving over to the special enemy targeting. Now, this particular defense also is going to have a dead zone around it, meaning if just a regular old orc gets inside that dead zone, it's going to sit there and smack away, or a little gobu or whatever, and the plasma defense system is not going to be able to hit it. So it does have a dead zone. We're going to have to think about the placement. The example rune here increases the range, but also increases the dead zone by a percentage. So we're going to be able to get some big boy coverage out of this one. It's going to be a nice, anytime we're having a struggle with flyers, this will probably be one of the regular old go-to defenses. Okay, now we've got Auto Loot 2.0. The Auto Loot system, although this is like your Auto Loot filters that you're picking up, although it is better in Dungeon Defenders Awakened than it is in any other Dungeon Defenders game as far as looting and loot filtering, it's still not perfect, and the next step is coming to that. So you see now the Auto Loot filters are going to have different categories, so you're going to be able to go in and set your Auto Loot up for each individual category. So you're going to hit the little gear wheel over here for offhands. It's going to give you the other requirements like minimum amount of upgrades, level, etc. like that. Same thing with swords, accessories, fusion gear, and pets. So the create down here, going to have to get some more information on. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make a custom type of filter, but the, all the different categories of gear, I'm assuming swords will be weapons. Or maybe they're going to have it all listed out. I'm not sure. Maybe that's how you create it. This one is clearly showing a sword with its crossbow, assuming you might have to create that category. But it's going to give you specific breakdowns on each individual item, and it will definitely take our current auto loot system up to the next level. Alright, so when is the question? Well, PTR October 28th. So I know a lot of people were expecting this sooner, including myself. However, it's just not ready to go out yet. It's going to take a few more weeks. So it's October 28th, the PTR goes live. Now, what does that mean for when does it hit live games? When does it go to consoles? Well, if you figure the PTR testing is going to be probably 2 weeks. Now, this is all assumptions, remember. If the PTR testing is 2 weeks long, and then say there's another 2-week period after that to allow for any sort of changes that take place, assuming there weren't any major dumpster fires on the PTR, and things just need to be dialed in and tweaked, I think a pretty fair guess is probably to say the end of November as far as when it goes live. Now, of course, remember, there's also certification processes that need to go through, so it may be more like the first week in December before the episode 2 part 1 actually hits and goes live. So we've got the Halloween event coming on the 14th. We've got the PTR 2 weeks later on the 28th. Lots of good stuff. I'm pretty excited about everything I see here on this sheet, and I'm just really looking forward to getting my hands on it and playing around with some of these items. But that is going to do it for now. Links to everything are down below. Oh man, these things just look cool. But anyway, thanks a ton, y'all, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.